Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. Thank you for inviting me to join you on this sacred offering during this incredible time of COVID-19. I am Rah. I am a warm water medicine woman from Cape Town, South Africa. I am keeper of the feminine mysteries of my tri-racial ancestry. I come from a Muslim background, and it has been a lifetime of integrating all of the different ancestors that live within my cellular being. And I am delighted to be able to share some of my stories with all of you in the hope that it will bless the field that has been created, the field of healing that has been created for all of us and by all of us. I'd like to invite each of you into a short little meditation, and I invite you now to take a few deep breaths. And whilst doing so, you're checking in if you're holding any tension in your shoulders, in your neck, in your spine. Holding your breath into your awareness so that you can come more fully into this moment, into this circle. And then I'd like to invite you to move into your heart space. Breathing into your heart space. Checking in with your heart. How is your heart in this moment? Feeling the expansion and the contraction of your heart. And should anything come up for you, just inviting it to pass through. Holding yourself gently. And sending a breath of gratitude into your heart for all its functions, for all the ways in which it supports you and your life. I thank you, my beautiful heart, for all that you are. Then I'd like you to move down your body, down into the earth. And connecting however feels right for you in this moment, connecting with Mother Earth, Pachamama, Gaia. Holding her and the piece of earth beneath your building, your home, your flat, wherever you find yourself, holding the earth beneath you into your awareness. And taking a deep breath with her. And sending her a breath of gratitude. We thank you, Mother Earth, for allowing us to live upon your back, your belly, and your bosom. We send you our gratitude. I invite you now to lift your gaze up to the sky. Thank you, beautiful sacred sun, for your light and your warmth. Thank you, beautiful cloud beings, and for all who dwell in the realm of the sky. We thank you. And I invite you to speak these words. Above me, the sky. Below me, the earth. And here am I. We hold in our awareness behind us our ancestors, through whom we came to earth. And we send a breath of gratitude into the ancestors on our left side. And we send a breath of gratitude into the ancestors on our right side. We thank you, for without you we would not be here today. We thank all the ancestors who have gathered with us in this sacred circle. We send our collective gratitude to each of you. I have had a very interesting COVID-19 experience thus far. When the protocols were first put in place, my father had taken ill, and so I spent the first few weeks of COVID-19 getting into my car every day and driving to my parents. I questioned what unconditional love was and why I could not access unconditional love. There was a longing for this word, really, for the sensation that I witnessed only outside of my family. And had many discussions with my parents about love. And my father's response was always, "What is this love? This love you're always talking about. life is about sacrifice and service. And so it was this natural progression to eventually leave my Muslim community. I was veiled until I was 28 years old, and I had married a good Muslim man, and I had a small daughter at the time, and somehow having a little girl brought me to these questions of how would she be raised? What kind of life could I offer her? And so I came to this place where I realized I had learned everything I could within this field of my family and within the religion and the belief system of my family, and that I was now ready to quest for something more, to quest for myself. I longed to be in a relationship with the sacred that was not out of fear, but out of love, out of joy. And I did not know what this looked like or felt like. And so I left my Muslim community and took off all my scarves. And for a few years, no one had any contact with me. It was a scandal in the family, of course, to leave in search of what everyone felt. I was now lost, and I felt I was now lost. And yet in my lostness, I kept connecting with this benevolent, feminine force whom I felt was encouraging me. She was saying, go and seek for yourself. At the time I left my community, the messages I was receiving, the dreams I was having was filled with symbolism of sitting in caves, of being inside of stones, inside of mountains. The symbolism of my dreams spoke of ancestors, revealed faces and imagery that I had not experienced before, but that was rich and full and filled something in me. And so it was almost natural for me to seek the assistance and the support and guidance of a local traditional healer. I had a beautiful reading in which he confirmed that my ancestors were waiting for me to open the door. And so an incredible journey began of building relationships with those ancestors with whom I've had absolutely no contact, but whose blood flowed very strongly in my veins, and whom I could feel looking through my eyes. I felt that I was led to live along the coast, only to discover later that my ancestors had dreamt for me to live along this coast. And many of them lived along this coast. I began to feel that love was speaking to me. I decided to go and visit my parents despite the, I wanted to say lockdown, and I think it was a lockdown because they didn't speak to me and I did not feel comfortable to visit. And I just decided, now I'm ready, I'm going to take my family and visit. And there was nothing to say. So I felt into what was being asked of me. I made some day chutney, I took flowers, and I went to my parents' house and brought my offerings and my family. And on the first visit, my father walked out of the house and my mother was nervous, and I felt, okay, this is okay, I'm coming back. And so I went back again and again and again until my father sat down with us and had tea and spoke to the children. And in this time I was experimenting, but deeply listening to this essence. And this essence was saying, there is no words to be said here. Bring what you can. Bring your offering. Make samosas. Cook your father's favorite dish. Make your mother's favorite dessert. Bring flowers. Sit with them and look at them and drink tea. And don't worry about the words. This too is a language of its own. And so I engaged it and felt a flow of miraculous energy begin to move between my parents and me, between my parents and our children, between my brothers and me. It was like we were stirring something in this cauldron, in this pot, and that its essence was beginning to flow into the family field. And soon we were visiting each other more regularly, seeing one another for birthdays, making phone calls that was not out of duty, connecting with one another, buying little gifts, and finding joy in each other again. And I felt deeply led by love itself and began to ask, what is love asking of me in this moment? What is love asking me to say, asking me to do? So before my father became ill, I arrived at my parents' house, really fired up, knowing full well that I needed to speak certain things that had not been spoken by me, and that was absolutely essential, my voice. And there was immediate friction between all of us. And I spoke these words. I said, I've come to speak these words, and my parents were very upset. My father was pacing up and down. My mother began to pick up the pillows from her bed and throw them down, and pick up the duvet and throw it down, and, weeping. And I was, of course, horrified. At the same time, I was feeling, how can she make this about her? It's about me. And I said, Ma, I'm just coming to say these things. And she didn't understand. She was just looking at me like, what are you speaking? What are you talking about? And frustrated, I ran out of the house. I thought, I must go. I must leave now. This is not working. And I got to the gate and I heard this voice. And the voice said, you cannot leave. And I stood at the gate and I was, blowing and breathing and calming myself down and gathering myself. And when I was calm enough, I understood that I had to go back inside. That not only could I not leave, but I had to go back inside. That something was not complete, and that I was in a big teaching in this moment. So I went back inside the house. My father was pacing up and down in the lounge. My mother was still doing what she was doing in her bedroom with the bedding. And I just slowly started picking up the bedding, putting the duvet back on the bed. And she was watching me. And then we picked up the pillows together. And I remember both of us smoothing the wrinkles out of the duvet. Like this moment together. And in this moment something landed in me. And when we had done this, she sat on the edge of the bed. And I sat next to her and I put my arm around her shoulders. And I understood with absolute clarity that I had to offer what I had come for. The moment was asking me to give it, to give unconditional love to my mother. Full stop. There was nothing else to be done. And so we sat on the edge of the bed and I said, Mom, I actually just wanted to say these words. I'm not blaming you, I'm not. I just needed to say these words, that was all. I'm not going to leave here angry. I'm going to come back. Nothing is broken. And she took a few deep breaths and calmed down and looked at me and I at her. And I understood something in that moment that had taken me half of my life to grasp. And it changed my relationship with my parents. I understood that this unconditional love that had been my longing, that I am contracted to bring this love into my family field. And so it became easier and easier with practice. And so I can only encourage you. In the last months of my father's life, I lay on the bed next to my father. And we would just be enjoying being next to one another. Not a word needed to be spoken. There were times when we gazed into each other's eyes, and this was enough. There were times when I sat with my mother in her kitchen where I could offer no words of comfort while her husband was dying, and I just sat with her and I just made her a cup of tea. There were times when I cooked their favorite foods and brought it, when I brought snacks, what they liked, a chocolate. There were times when I would come home and I would cry and I would think, I'm just going to send my mother a flower on WhatsApp. And I would just send her a flower on WhatsApp. There are now so many ways and methods open to us to communicate that during this time it flowed. The pathways were open. Love was speaking and love was saying, I have a myriad of ways in which I can be expressed. My language is boundless. My frequency is beyond understanding. And so I'm encouraging you, offer what you can. Reach out and offer what you can. This is something I have never regretted and will never regret, this reaching out and bringing the offering. It's the waiting I have regretted, not the bringing. The bringing becomes easier. You get into this flow. Yes, I can do this. I am here to do this. I'm on the earth to bring this. I'm in this family to bring this offering. I thank you for listening, for witnessing me, for allowing me to speak these words in this sacred circle. And I pray that it may bless you, that it may bless your family, that the ripples may ripple outward endlessly. And if this offering has touched you, I would love to request any support for the feeding scheme in a very poor community close to where I live that I am a part of. You are welcome to contact me. My details is attached to this offering. Please feel free to contact me if you wish. I wish you boundless love in all its myriad of expressions. I wish you beauty. I wish you peace. I send you my gratitude.